Well, I hate to interrupt such good conversation, but I've been thinking all morning that, this is our moment. This morning, the chancellor talked about the 150-year history at Vanderbilt and that amazing history. But I feel like a lot of that 150 years, we've been kind of hiding behind what I would call the magnolia curtain. It's time to bring it. When you think about where we're at as a university and the different panels and speakers this morning, we are in such a different place. It's such an exciting time for entrepreneurship. And it's really a moment where, we are blowing things up on campus. I think Michael and Stacy have obviously done a fantastic job with the Center for Entrepreneurship. This event is so far exceeded, I think, all of our expectations this year. But there's a lot of things happening around campus. If you spend any time with CTTC, like Alan and Peter Russos, or David Owens and Deanna over at the Wondery, they are working to bring technology out of the university and collaboration across the university in ways we've just never thought of in the past. And the future is really bright. It is really bright. Our goal with this conference when we launched it 4 years ago was to activate the entrepreneurial community inside of Vanderbilt, not just here in Nashville, but really all over the world. And we wanted to really bring the community together, both within individual ecosystems like New York or San Francisco, but then to bring them back to Nashville. And that's exactly what we've been doing. Running events, we've been running events in San Francisco, in New York. Just a couple weeks ago, we did one in Asia. It was virtual. But Owen's Asian Alumni Board put together an amazing entrepreneurship event where we had entrepreneurs from China, from Japan, from India, all sharing their experiences in different countries. And it's really all about building community. That is what this is about. So that's why I love the title of Andrew's and Shawn's talk so much. It takes a village. And I first got to know Andrew when I moved here in 2013. I was living at the Village at Vanderbilt, starting as a new dean at the Owen School. And I remember, the first football game, walking over and standing along the Star Walk, to see the team come in. And I was just kind of spectating. I had only been around Nashville a couple weeks and really was kind of invisible, I thought, in the crowd. When one of the football players yelled, "Hey, Dean, I'm Andrew East, and I love Owen." And I'm like, what? Who is this guy, right? I should have known from that moment. Of course, I've been rooting for Andrew ever since. Andrew East is an NFL athlete who most recently played for the Washington Commanders, AKA Redskins. And he received a bachelor's degree in civil engineering and then an MBA at Owen, while being twice the captain for the football team. And then he went on to do all kinds of cool things, including a YouTube channel that he and his wife, Shawn Johnson, started together and now has over 250 million views. They've launched a podcast that's launched and climbed to number 2 on the overall podcast chart. And he's been working on a really cool series called Redirect, which focuses on people like himself who've had interesting career pivots. All these experiences have led him to do all kinds of interesting digital coaching and consulting. And, all along the way, he's my near neighbor. I get to walk by Andrew and Shawn's place almost every week. And they just welcomed their second child in July. And they're really part of the Nashville community. And at 30 years old, American gymnast Shawn Johnson has accomplished a lifetime of achievements, including Olympic medals, New York Times bestseller, several businesses, a career in broadcasting, awards like from Dancing with the Stars. How cool is that? And after retiring from gymnastics in 2012, she's made lots of appearances in various TV shows, The Apprentice, Adventure Capitalist, and she and Andrew have this wonderful YouTube where they are documenting their life together. So join me in welcoming Shawn and Andrew.
Sorry, guys. Don't mind me.
Wow. When we were preparing for this, crutches was not a part of our vision for the speech, but.
We have kids. We have a 2-year-old and a 6-month-old, and calendars and scheduling is like a whole different world. We didn't realize that I had knee surgery scheduled the day before this, and we just thought it was normal. And then we woke up this morning, we're like, oh, we had to figure out how to get you on stage. So yeah. I had my knee scoped yesterday, but it's all good. Yeah. Hi, guys.
I think the last time I was in this building was for the football kind of senior graduation ceremonies. And so this is kind of sentimental. It's probably been 7 years. But thank you so much for the kind introduction, Dean Johnson. As he was alluding to, I think that interaction that we had on the Star Walk before the football game was in my campaign of trying to get into Owen. So trying to make sure he knew what my face looked like. But we are here today because when we look back on our experiences and our careers, really any amount of success, you could say failure, is a result of the team and the group that we've had around us, Dean Johnson being one of them. I look back on my time at Owen, and it was a tremendous jumping off platform for us to do what we've done. And so, yeah, that's our main message, is just really that it's the group of people around you that enables any amount of success.
And kind of putting together today's, I guess, topics of conversation, again, it's funny to hear Dean Johnson list off like our resume, because even when we try to put together our own resume, we're like, we do YouTube. I don't know if that's something we should be proud of or excited by. And it's by no means anything that we ever planned. We definitely were on different trajectories. My background, my dream in life was to be an orthopedic surgeon, comedically. I've now had 5 orthopedic surgeries. And I ended up getting into Stanford way back in the day, transferred and got into Vandy, don't worry.
You upgraded there.
I upgraded.
You upgraded.
But because of the Olympics, I ended up deferring college 7 years and ended up, instead of doing my degree at Vandy because of The Apprentice and a bunch of other things that happened, I ended up doing college online through Penn State. So I bounced all over the place. But orthopedic surgeon is kind of where my life plan was going. And to now see that I am a YouTuber and I work in advertising and marketing is quite comical.
Yeah.
But to kind of start off our whole topic of it takes a village, we wanted to share a little story I did back in 2008 when I was training for the Olympics. It was a week before Olympic trials. And if you don't know, I'm from Des Moines, Iowa, really small town. And at the time, there was only one other person who had really gone to the Olympics, and it was Dan Gable. So the fact that I was on kind of this route to make the Olympic team and do pretty well was a really big deal for our city. And it was a week before the Olympic trials that the 2008 flood hit Des Moines, Iowa, and it wiped out our entire gym. I mean, it took everything. Hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment was completely gone. We couldn't train there, we couldn't be there. There was over 5 feet of water. And in kind of an instant, it was this idea that I could no longer go to the Olympics, because as a gymnast, if you know about gymnastics, even if you miss one day of practice, that can change your competitive outcome drastically. And it was really cool because overnight, within 24 hours, hundreds and thousands of people from neighboring cities and towns kind of all came out and started rebuilding our gym for us. The mayor was out there, congressmen came out. There was the Coca-Cola corporate came in from Atlanta, Georgia. They ended up bringing in hundreds of thousands of dollars of brand new equipment for us to train on. And within 72 hours, they rebuilt our entire gym. It was pretty crazy. Fun fact, my dad is actually a builder, and he came out and started building the gym nail by nail and tore his bicep within like an hour of rebuilding. So he could no longer do that. But it was really cool because in a moment, I went from thinking that my talent alone getting me to the Olympics was kind of what happens, and overnight it kind of became this concept and idea that it has honestly a very small fraction to do with talent as it does the community you're surrounded by. So your coaches, your family, your team, your community, everyone is kind of, they're the ones who kind of get you there more than the talent, I guess.
I love how you say you did pretty well at the Olympics. An Olympic gold medal and 3 silvers is doing pretty well, to say the least.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yes. Yeah, I did go to Vanderbilt, but I know everybody here is way more excited to hear Shawn speak. By the way, had I known the dress code, I would have worn, we have some amazing hats in the crowd. That is the coolest thing that I've seen. The other one, there's another cool one too, but I didn't come prepared today. Anyway, I think what you've done after your Olympic career has really been even cooler than your athletic achievements have been. And Shawn and I, according to the IRS, have started over a dozen companies together, which sounds pretty cool, except for the fact that the majority of those have failed. But a couple are working out very, it's funny now looking back on it, but I do attribute, as we've grown and matured through our entrepreneurial kind of trajectory, we've realized that including other people in whatever capacity we can, whether that's as a partner, whether that's as an employee, as a mentor, even us to get here today, the group of people that had to come around us and support us between your parents,
babysitters and surgeons.
Yeah, babysitters and surgeons.
Yeah.
It really is humbling to think about, we're standing up here on the shoulders of 20 other people just today alone. And actually, Clark Bruckner has been helping us with projects as we've been building out the media side of things. And it's been a pretty good journey. Yeah.
It has. Something that we talk about a lot, especially when we started dating and meeting within the college times, was with the Olympics. I remember Andrew asking a lot of questions about how was it and just the general questions. And I remember when I was training for the Olympics, who's watching the Olympics now? Anybody? Anybody interested? Cool.
Ah, nice.
Society plays an interesting kind of role when it comes to the Olympic Games. They make it this massive, massive deal. If you watch NBC, it's the one thing you wait for every 4 years, or back-to-back years this time, which has been confusing. And I remember as an athlete training, I was 16 years old when I made the Olympics, and I had trained for 14 years of my life for that moment. And I remember kind of society playing it up as if you make it to the Olympic Games and you win a gold medal, you have succeeded in life and you can retire and kind of walk away. And I remember thinking and believing that for so long. So when I made the Olympics and I stood on that podium and I got the gold medal, I remember thinking, this is it. I'm gonna feel completely fulfilled in life and I'm gonna be done. And I remember getting the gold medal, and I hate to ruin that moment for anybody, but it's not everything in the whole world. It truly isn't. I remember getting the gold medal and being proud, and I remember thinking all the hard work paid off, but I did not feel fulfilled. I felt cool. But I remember thinking, there's gotta be more to life than just this. And that's a really scary moment, because if the entire world tells you that if you win an Olympic gold medal, you've succeeded and you can be done, to feel unfulfilled in that moment was terrifying. And I know Andrew and I have talked about transitions out of professional athletics and careers a lot. And for me, stepping off that podium was the scariest moment of my life, because the world defined me as successful, but I felt to a certain extent unsuccessful, and I had no idea where to go from there. And I feel like I've had the privilege of talking to a lot of college kids. Oh, it's weird to say kids now. It's really weird.
Multiple, yeah.
That makes me feel very old. But I've had the privilege of talking to a lot of college kids, and I feel like a lot of times college kids can get very wrapped up in this idea that they have to become something. They have to become the lawyer, the doctor, the path that they're set on. And for me, I was the gymnast. And redefining that took a very, very long time. Becoming a YouTuber took a very long time. But it was a challenging kind of transition that redefined our identity, I guess.
Yeah, and the way we look at it, the gap between our ambition and any achievements that we have and the way to get there is, again, teamwork, essentially, right? That's, we all have dreams and visions that we want to make happen. But the daunting thing when you start going down that journey of, hey, I want to start a media platform, or I want to start a B2B, consumer CPG product, you start getting confronted with all these questions of, how are you going to handle the shipping? How are you going to handle the manufacturing? How are you going to handle the labels and this and that? And then all these hows start piling up. And it's really the who that is the important part and the important bridge to get you to the fulfillment of that dream. There is a fantastic book called Who Not How, which has drastically changed my perspective as we've navigated through our different businesses. And it's funny, we sit down with a lot of different people, a lot of different experts on our shows. And one of them was this doctor in relationship therapy. And they were talking about the quality that you most oftentimes fall in love with it morphs into the quality that most annoys you in a couple of years, right? So Shawn's ambition and organization was like so appealing when we first started dating.
What are you saying now?
And now, is this the right topic?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, there's this duality to that one characteristic. And I think a lot of the times it can be that same way in entrepreneurship, where we all are the creative type, kind of this individual, kind of free thinker for the most part, where like we're creating and innovating, but it's that same quality for this going against the flow and creating something new that prevents us from welcoming other people into our vision and welcoming other people into the dream. So the one thing that we have done as we've matured through the different businesses is bringing in other people like Clark, and we have an amazing team that really we're just kind of the representatives of, and it's been tremendous to watch that unfold and this vision really take momentum behind us, where we set the goal, and then the other supporting members make that happen.
To give you a little background, how I went from orthopedic surgeon kind of route, and Andrew was going to build wells in impoverished countries, to now what we do, YouTube. After I retired from gymnastics, I was 19 years old. Andrew started the NFL when you were 22?
Yeah.
And we were both kind of navigating this life of professional athletics. I signed my first professional contract when I was 12 years old. I made the USA national team at 12. And I worked in sport, I quote unquote worked in sports entertainment for almost 10 years. At 12, my agents were showing me contracts and how they worked in negotiating with high enterprise companies and how the marketing and the advertising worked. And I did that for so long that when I retired, I remember thinking, I don't have a degree, I've not gone to college, I don't really have a professional title that gives me credibility in any field other than gymnastics. And I remember talking with like my team at the time saying there were so many things that I wanted to do, but I didn't feel qualified. And then fast forward, Andrew's now in football, kind of bouncing around from team to team, and we were just at a loss of what do we do with our life outside of professional athletics. And coming from my sports entertainment background and his business background, we said, why don't we just kind of document everything that we're going through for the moment and see how it takes off? And it wasn't even a business plan as it was a documentary or filmmaking challenge. And from there, we kind of learned the ins and outs of advertising and marketing and saw that it had potential to become a career.
What was the thing that helped you through that transition, do you feel?
Through the transition?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. The transition out of gymnastics for me was really difficult because gymnastics is a career based off of perfectionism. You spend every day of your life trying to achieve a perfect score by a subjective opinion. So what people thought of me was all that mattered. And when I retired from gymnastics, going into any other new field, people's judgment and opinions, I valued way too much. So allowing myself to start over and not be good at something to learn how to be good at it someday didn't even seem like an option. I felt like people couldn't see me fail. And so I would bounce from one thing to another, trying to just find what I was immediately perfect at. And I just failed over and over and over again. I tried writing books, I tried starting businesses, I tried investing in businesses, lost a lot of money, failed at a lot of different things, and ultimately went back to gymnastics because I said, I'm not good at anything else, so let's go back to what I know I'm good at. Tried to do another circuit for 2012, got hurt again, and had an excuse to stop and just truly start over. And I remember I met Andrew here at Vanderbilt, and it was the first person I had met in my whole entire life who saw potential in me outside of gymnastics. And I honestly think to a certain extent, it's just the community that was here. Every single person I met could have cared less about gymnastics and just the person I wanted to be, which was really, really cool. I actually remember meeting Dean Johnson and having an awesome conversation with him, but I was just like, this place is so cool, and I felt free here. I felt free to start over and respectfully fail at things. And together, we started being able to build businesses that slowly succeeded. A lot of them failed, but slowly succeeded, and it was just really cool. It was just the confidence, having someone support me and having a team support me and starting over was what I needed.
Yeah, it's wild how you went from, in such a close time, experiencing the peak of success, as many people would define it, to a really tough moment of disparity. And I look back on, after I graduated Owen, this was a part that the dean skipped over. I signed with the Kansas City Chiefs, and I was so optimistic that I was going to spend 10 years there and right off in the sunset, retire, after an awesome NFL career. And after 3 months, they let me go. They released me. And I found myself back here, sitting on the couch, trying to figure out, well, what do I do now that didn't work out? When all of my classmates and professors at Owen were helping me get to this dream of signing with that team, and then it didn't work out. And it's hard to sometimes see, how things are gonna pan out. Like, is there gonna be a next step for me? Is there gonna be any amount of success for me at this point? I was at this really low point, as Shawn was as well, which transitions create those moments of like anxiety and fear.
Didn't you apply to a job?
I did apply to be an Uber driver at that point, which Owen, would probably, Owen's finest, just driving around the Ubers in Nashville. But then it was precisely because of me not knowing what to do that forced me into trying to figure something out. So that's when we started the media platform. And all throughout me applying to colleges, me trying out for the NFL, and me ultimately settling into what we do now, which is broadly media-based. It's fun to think about how when I was coming out of high school, I came up with a whole list of all the special teams coaches for all 120 plus Division I football teams. Sent an email out to every single one of them, essentially, as I did with the dean, begging them to like, hey, can I come play for your team, please? And one of them said yes. That was at Vandy. And it was a relationship with a coach here that unlocked this experience for me. And then, going into the NFL, we reached out to all the coaches, all 32 special teams coaches. I found their emails. I don't know how. I don't even know if it was kosher the way I did it, but memorize like their faces, because we'd go to these events and I'd bump into them, and I wanted to make sure I knew who they were. And it was because of certain relationships and the effort put forth there that got me several opportunities. Granted, it did take me 8 different teams to finally play in 3 total NFL games, but we made it. We did make it. And again, I look back on that and it's like, gosh, I really had nothing to do with that. It was all these people in my life. So it's humbling.
I remember when Andrew was bouncing around the NFL, I had kind of already done my gymnastics thing and retired. And I remember watching him bounce from team to team and sign contracts and kind of go through the whole movement of it. And I remember seeing kind of his emotional roller coaster, one that I related to a lot because I'd gone through that already. And I remember him saying multiple times, like, I don't think I'm good enough. It must be why I'm getting cut. All of these different things, just having a lot of doubts in himself. And it was really cool as a outside perspective, and having had my career already, I think every single person in this room is obviously qualified. And you have the education, you have like the background behind you. And with Andrew, I saw the same exact thing. I was like, you've made it into the league. You have the skill. Now it's just a matter of how you take advantage of your opportunity. And I feel like in every course of life, in every position or job, in everything we've learned firsthand, the world likes to write a book as to how it's supposed to happen. You're supposed to go to this college, take these classes, talk to these people, and get hired, in whatever opportunity that is. But in the real world, it all works out completely different. It's who you know, it's how you network, it's the opportunities you take advantage of and the places you are, and honestly, luck that sets in that gives you that opportunity. I know for me with the Olympics, going back to the flood, had it not been for the city I lived in, I would never have made it to the Olympic trials. And yes, I had the talent and skill, but had that luck not set in, the Olympics wouldn't have happened. And I think watching Andrew in the NFL was really inspiring to myself because it was a job, and I saw the doubt and the insecurities kind of seep into his confidence, but yet his skill was there. It was just a work opportunity that he had to take a different approach to, which was really cool. And I think that can be applied in any field.
It's funny to think about your experience as a gymnast versus mine as a football player, where I was surrounded by 100 teammates who held me accountable, and you were in this individual sport. And you talk about qualities that are indicative of success, and you think about discipline, you think about vision, determination, persistence, and all of those qualities are way easier when you have a group of people around you who also have the same vision, the same mission to hold you accountable, right? It's almost like this forced commitment mechanism of, hey, I'm buying into this group. We all have this stated mission explicitly at the outset, and they're not going to let me not live up to what I just committed to, right? So I'm not really sure how you were able to train at 5 a.m. in the morning. I know that when I was setting my alarm for 4:30 and walking from Branscombe over to the football field in the morning, it was only because I had a roommate waking me up. So anyway, it was, but that's why I'm not an Olympic gold medalist either, so yeah.
Going back to our business and kind of how it's evolved, I remember coming home. I was on tour after the 2012 Olympics, and Andrew had been cut by the Kansas City Chiefs and was at home waiting for his next call. And I remember coming home and Andrew said, I started a YouTube channel. And I was like, what? Why? We're not doing anything with that. And he had spent weeks and weeks and weeks and 24 hours a day learning and teaching himself how to edit, how to do back-end analytical data, how to do the advertising and marketing, and truly like create and produce a show on a YouTube platform that would end up profiting money. And I remember him kind of not even telling me all of this detail, but just saying, we're gonna do a YouTube channel. And I was like, no, we're not. Why?
Would not recommend doing that with your spouse, by the way.
Yeah.
There's better ways.
And to give you a little bit of context, I was doing the speaking circuit. So I was doing inspirational and motivational speeches around the country, jumping from college to college. And I was used to doing lectures on motivational speaking. And that was kind of like my bread and butter, and that's what my career was at the time. And he was telling me, he's like, how about you quit your job and we're gonna do YouTube? And I was like, you are out of your mind. But slowly he started to kind of show me this world and show me kind of the potential it had within marketing and advertising. And slowly we started to produce a show. And we slowly started to learn how the media platforms work. And over the course of 5 years, we built one show that worked. And I loosely use the word show because if you were to watch our channel, you'd be like, this is garbage.
Also use the word we, because it was like, very little us. But go ahead, continue.
Anyways, we built one show and it worked and it profited and we really enjoyed it after 5 years. And so after 5 years, we said, okay, let's kind of focus in on the media world. Again, with sports entertainment background and Andrew in the NFL, we saw an opportunity to kind of build something bigger. And we slowly started producing 2 shows, 3 shows, podcasts, 2 podcasts now, and creating kind of a media platform. And we had learned so much about it that it became this challenge. And we felt completely unqualified to do it because we have no true background in advertising or marketing. But we just learned firsthand how to do it. And we now have, how many shows? A few.
Oh, no.
A couple. And every single day we wake up and we go to quote unquote work, which is at our house with our 2 kids. And Clark knows firsthand, it's just chaos. But we challenge ourselves because every single day it's really fun to be like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but we're going to figure it out. And we're going to find people to help us kind of create something that's really fun and challenging.
Yeah, and just like while Shawn was out actually working and I was applying to be an Uber driver, just like I did with the collegiate coaches, I did the same spreadsheet for YouTube channels, and I reached out to the biggest 200 YouTube channels, scoured the internet for their emails, sent an idea for all of them saying, hey, let's do a video together. And 10 of them said yes, and that was enough for us to get our start and kind of generate views and momentum on the channel, which also led to us learning an immense amount about cameras and audio and lighting and all this stuff. And so it was through that process, once again, of welcoming other people into what we were trying to build that made a big difference. Just the other day, I don't know if you remember this, someone said, wow, Shawn and Andrew, feels like you guys kind of have your stuff together, like you're organized and how you approach your work. And I was laughing because it's so ironic that we really don't, but since we have Lexi and Caroline and Hannah on our team, we've been forced to, again, once you welcome other people in, it's a commitment mechanism where I feel like we have to be organized, we have to be scheduled, we have to be planned and strategic. And so that I think was the biggest step as we have been building our business, was that first hire, because it goes from like a fun little idea that you're pursuing solo to, oh wait, no, these people actually need a paycheck every other week. And so how can we make that happen? If we got to be a little more thoughtful about this, so.
2 things that Andrew has taught me within our business, which has been really cool, because we are partners in our business, which can be crazy to go into business with your spouse. Some days we are completely at each other's throats, and other days it's awesome to be partners and teammates. But 2 things that I really admire about Andrew that he's really taught myself and everybody that works in our business is early on when we started this whole YouTube world, again, it was a world we knew nothing about. We just knew that there was potential there. And I thought it was so cool, Andrew having an MBA from Vandy and coming from the NFL, and me being an Olympic gold medalist from gymnastics. And I don't mean to like prop myself up there, but
Casual flex.
I don't mean it as a flex. I just mean, we had found success, and to watch him humble himself so much and search for personal emails of all of these top YouTubers who were the most successful on the media platform, and reach out and be like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I would love to learn how to create a YouTube channel. It was really, really cool to watch him do that, and to see how 190 of them never responded, but 10 did. And I remember we bought plane tickets to every single city that each of them lived in. And we would fly out there and meet them for a couple days, and they would walk us through how they did their YouTube channel, how they did their back-end analytics, how they filmed, what cameras they used, what worked for them, how the insights of community building worked. And we just bounced all over the country for months on end, learning how to create something on this platform that we knew nothing about. And I remember, I think 3 years into building this one YouTube channel, we gained like we had like 100,000 subscribers, which in the grand scheme of things isn't a lot. And I remember thinking like, okay, we're getting somewhere. And I had a teammate of mine who said, I want to do this YouTube thing too. And she started a channel, and she got so frustrated that she didn't gain internet success overnight. And it was very humbling to kind of be reminded, like, we really worked for it. We learned from the ground how to build it. And we've kind of done that with everything. We didn't know how to edit videos. We didn't know how to do audio or lighting. And with each individual thing, we've just asked the best of the best and humbled ourselves enough to say, I know nothing about it. Teach me your ways. And it's been a really, really cool experience, because having learned that firsthand, there isn't really any challenge that we don't now take the opportunity to take advantage of, because we're like, I'm okay being the worst out there. Just teach me how to get there, which has been really fun.
Yeah, and to throw it back to Shawn, I think about the way that she's humbled herself, and like essentially the trust of welcoming someone else into her vision for what she was building. And like, hey, I was doing speaking, I was traveling the country, doing in-person events, and now you want me to be this personality online, which is kind of the same thing on a different platform. And that trust level that you enabled me with was extremely powerful. And I think you provide a fantastic example for how any vision is executed, really, to your credit, really. Yeah.
Thank you. One other little tangent story of why we ended up doing YouTube and why we stuck with it, because I think for many years we kind of created it and had it as a side income to what the NFL was doing and what our lives were kind of just the road we were going down. And we ended up staying with it because about 4 years ago, not to do like a sad story, but just sharing, we were married, we got pregnant with our first baby, and we ended up losing that pregnancy. And we had been documenting our journey and our life on YouTube as this channel for 5 years, that it only made sense to kind of continue sharing our story. And at the time, we had filmed it, we had documented it, and turned it into a video for us personally. It was not something we wanted to share. We had never shared anything raw and vulnerable on the internet. We saw it as a very edited, kind of restricted access to our life channel. And at that moment, I remember telling Andrew that this video we created, I really felt compelled to share it and to post it on our channel. Not for clickbait, not for any other reason other than I, for some reason, felt called to. And I remember Andrew saying, no, let's take a step back on this. This is very raw, this is very personal, and this really kind of opens the world up to a different level of access to our life than we had ever shared. So we kind of went back and forth for like a day, and I had convinced him. I was like, I don't know why, I want to post this. I didn't think anybody would see it, or I wasn't sure. So I ended up posting it, and within minutes, hours, thousands of people had seen that video, and thousands of people had commented. And I remember sitting in front of the screen for hours on end, just bawling my eyes out, reading these stories that are heartfelt and meaningful from women and spouses and partners about things that they had gone through that made them feel very isolated. And Andrew and I kind of in that moment saw a new opportunity, not monetary anymore, but like purposeful opportunity on the internet to kind of connect with the world in a different way. I feel like up until that moment, we had been doing everything on a media platform to monetize. So it was all trendy and clickbait. We made slime videos, if anybody knows what that is.
Anybody ever made slime?
It's a thing.
0 people.
And it was an opportunity to make money, but we were doing all of that, and all of a sudden we saw an opportunity to change lives. And I, in that moment when I had lost that pregnancy, felt so lost in the world. I didn't know how to heal from that. I had never felt kind of at a low like that before. And it was comments on the internet, funny enough, that helped me heal from that and helped me get out of a hole I didn't know how to get out of. And ever since that moment, we kind of changed everything about our business and made it family focused. And everything we create, everything we post has a mission that we want to celebrate families, and we want to celebrate people, and we want to help them be better versions of themselves. And something really cool that Andrew is now working on to create is he's creating a multimedia platform across different shows, different forums, different kind of interactions where the internet gets to be two-sided, and we get to actually communicate with people, and people can communicate across the world and really share and celebrate families together, which has been really cool. So it was an opportunity that we started thinking it was ridiculous that has truly changed our lives as well, which has been fun.
I feel like there was a point where we were reaching so much resistance as we were doing these videos for ourselves, for the views, and really ultimately it came down to just doing it for us, where as soon as we unlocked that thought process of, hey, we are able to learn this business because of other people. We're able to build this business because of other people, and we're building this business to speak to other people. That's when really the drastic success and the tide turned, and momentum really started gathering in our favor. And it's fun to see. And so now everything we do is, how can we add other people? How can we include other people? How can we speak to other people? And that's really the key to our success. To wrap up the football career, the one story that defines how I look back on my 20 years of playing football was after 5 years and 8 different teams, trying to make my NFL dreams come true. Finally, I got signed by the Washington football team, Commanders now? Sorry. And we played our first game in Jacksonville, Florida. And I'll never forget stepping onto the field, the flyover, and the national anthem, but looking into the stands and seeing my wife, my parents, my coaches, my brothers, and this whole cast literally right there in front of me of people who, most of them had the same name that I had on the back of my jersey, but it was really because of them, all the sacrifices that my parents made driving to practices and different football games, and my brother always doing competitions with me, and my coaches teaching me this skill or that skill. That was the defining moment for me that, oh my gosh, none of what I've accomplished, a tiny percentage of what I've accomplished is really me. And my role is, now, as I see it, kind of being the vision caster that brings this group of people together and rallies this group and this community, because that, is not only the key to success, but also, I think, taking it one step further, when you look back on it, how you find purpose and how you find meaning is building that group of people. So fortunately, I've been able to partner with my wife, and we've done many fantastic projects together, but definitely some failures in there, but it's been so fun to look back on the groups that we've created because of that. So anyway, that's all we had for you today. Thank you to the dean, thank you to Stacy for putting this together, and thank you to all of you. Look forward to meeting you, and go Doors. Yes. Do you need help? Do you want me to carry on?
No.